Do you recall that old saying, the best things in life are free? I've bought into that saying for a long time, but now I'm coming to realize that it isn't true. Granted, the best things in life don't always have a money price attached to them, but they are rarely free. In fact, I think there is a case to be made that humans tend to undervalue anything free. For example, here in Washington state, we are surrounded by natural beauty. In truth, there is natural beauty just about anywhere one may go. We drive by it every day without giving it a second glimpse. It's free, it's beautiful, but we tend not to value it. However, if you take a 3 hour road trip out to see some natural beauty, you'll really soak it up. You'll take photos and share those photos with your friends. You'll tell people about the trip and what you saw. The whole thing will become a great memory. But if you only had to drive 5 minutes to see something just as beautiful, it is very unlikely that you'd attach the same value to it. The greater the effort you put into something, the more valuable it will be. I have an admission to make. I was a real screw up as a teenager. I drank too much. I barely scraped by in school. I've always been a hard worker who earned well, but I had a very bad attitude. I got kicked out of college for being too wild, right before I went to Peru for the first time. Thankfully, the college let me back in when I came home. As I look back, I realized that I had too much given to me for free, and I didn't appreciate it. Like many kids of my generation in this country, I wasn't able to appreciate all the hard work done by previous generations who laid the groundwork for the easy life I had been born into. Nice clothes, good food, good education, good music, easy jobs, a nice house to live in. All of this stuff was just here for the taking when I showed up in the world. I didn't have to build or create any of this stuff. It was just there. For all intents and purposes, it was all free to me. On my first visit to Peru, so much was put into perspective. I made friends with people who had a much lower standard of living than me from a material perspective, but who had a much higher quality of life. They were happier. I had a friend who used to invite me to lunch at his house. He lived with his mom in a one-room studio apartment. The humble structure was built of adobe bricks. They had a dirt floor. His mom slept in a little bed on the floor. Lucho, my friend, had a loft bed bolted into the wall. They had a gas camping stove on cinder blocks for a kitchen. There was always a tower of buckets in the corner. The buckets were filled with water for washing the dishes, bathing, and flushing the toilets when the water ran out, which was frequently. They worked hard at their life. Lucho earned his living as an auto mechanic. His mother maintained the household. They had relatively little, but they truly appreciated what they had. Nothing was ever given to them. Nothing was free. That is why everything had value to them. To be able to sit down together and eat a good lunch, mother and son, meant the world to them. Lucho worked hard to put food on that table, 6 days a week, 10 to 12 hours per day, fixing cars. And his mom worked just as hard turning out meals in her humble kitchen. Eating lunch in that house had a big impact on me. By the way, Lucho's mom was an amazing cook, and I know she got a lot of joy seeing a big old goofy 6'4" gringo in her house eating lunch. But even that joy that she felt wasn't free. It took her decades of hard work to become such a good cook. It also took decades of hard work to raise her son Lucho, my friend, who was such a good man. Last night, we were out in our little fruit garden enjoying the evening sun. It stays light until 10 p.m. in Washington state during the summer. My father-in-law was in town tending to the grapes, the figs, the apple trees, the blueberry and raspberry bushes, and the plum tree. My kids were running around playing, and I was laying in the grass, staring up at the clear blue sky. I was thinking about how good my life was right at that moment. On the surface, it looked like a classic best things in life are free moment. No matter how much money you spend on something, it probably wouldn't make you much happier than laying in your fruit garden after a hard day's work, soaking up the majesty of the vast clear blue sky, with your father-in-law from Peru caring for your plants, your wife smiling, and your kids running around happily. But none of that is free. It is all the result of a lot of time and effort. A beautiful garden must be tended to. A good marriage takes work. Kids need to be raised. and laying in the grass is much more pleasant if somebody has mowed the lawn. Before I wrap up here, I want to share with you some interesting tidbits about things we're working on. As you may know, we have a ton of new products in the shop and more in the works all the time. Yesterday, I took an old Peruvian recipe book to Javier, our chocolatier. We're going to start working on recreating a bunch of classic Peruvian sweets and incorporating them into our lineup of products. In particular, we are working on chocotejas and alfajores. I am so excited to see how these turn out. In the fall, once the weather starts to cool down, and we are going to do our best. In the fall, once the weather starts to cool down, we are going to do our best to get as many new products online as possible. So stay tuned. Hopefully, we can give you an online selection that rivals what we have in our stores. Anyhow, that is all that I have for you today, and I hope that the rest of the day is lovely. And remember, the best things in life will be those you work for. I hope that you have a truly blessed day.